Hi, and welcome back to my series of podcasts talking about high-performance collaboration and teamwork, what doesn't work and what does. And we're building on the book I released last year in 2018 called Lessons from Mars. So we've discussed this idea of intentional collaboration, and we've talked about how to get the energy and attention of high achievement individuals who populate many of the companies we work in. Certainly there are a lot of them at Mars. I know because I was one of them. I was both a Martian and a high achiever. I want to tackle one common fallacy. So there's an idea out there that shared goals are needed to drive teamwork. And what I learned at Mars is that ain't so. So let me give you some examples. I worked with a sales group at Mars, and I'm going to simplify this a little bit for purposes of the podcast. Now, this sales team served one of the biggest retail customers out there, Walmart. And all three of the major lines of business of Mars North America were represented in a Mars office down there in Arkansas, where Walmart's headquartered. You had the candy people, you had the pet care and pet food people, and the food division. They all served on the Mars Walmart team. And one year, these numbers aren't precisely accurate, but good enough for making the point. One year they had a growth goal of 6%, let's say, right? Overall growth goal of 6% for Mars Inc. That was all three businesses. Now, each of the three businesses had their own growth goal that had to roll up and add up to that 6%. Now, for the very small Uncle Ben's business, small by comparison to the candy business, for example, their growth target was really high. They had about a 20% growth target because they had this fancy new product back in the day, and it was that rice you heat in the microwave for 90 seconds and it's done. This was a big deal and was going to create great growth, but in a smaller business. Pet and confectionery or candy, they had lower growth numbers, but overall bigger revenue, right? Because they're bigger businesses. But in the end, it was going to add up to 6% growth for the Walmart team down there in Bentonville, Arkansas. So the head of the team does what a good team leader does. He says, guys, we got to grow 6% this year. Get out there and make it happen. Shared goal. They go. What do? Well, the person who's selling M&Ms and Snickers and Twix bars drives that candy aisle really hard. They want to get stuff moving. They want to sell as much confectionery as they can. The person on the pet side of the business, they do the same thing. They're trying to push cans of pedigree dog food and get Whiskas out there. They want to see their numbers grow. And of course, the Uncle Ben's guys and ladies doing the same thing for their piece of the business. Now, as it happened that year, when they added up all the numbers, it was a 7% growth number. Wow, they exceeded their goal. They had a big party. They celebrated 7% growth. What did they say? They said, what a great team we are. Really? A great team? Where was the teamwork? What you saw there was the shared goal driving individual effort. They made their number, and that matters. They're a great collection of individuals. Right? That's how they got the number. But was there much collaboration involved? Not really. Now, what we found is that what actually drives collaboration is shared work. Don't get me wrong, shared goals are necessary. We need to be able to measure progress, don't we? We need to be able to determine whether or not we've hit a target. But it doesn't drive collaboration. Shared work, on the other hand, well, that's a different story. And think about that. When I say shared work, we think perhaps about a car design team, right? These days, and this started back in the 80s and as a part of the quality movement, a car design team is not just the designer. It's an electrical engineer, a mechanical engineer. It's going to involve the salesperson who knows what the car dealers and the consumers want. It's going to involve a marketer who's going to eventually have to tell the story about these great vehicles. They all work together because they're so interdependent. It's a different degree of collaboration, and we need to recognize that. They both have a shared goal, by the way, right? To do the best work you can do, and they enumerate that whatever way makes sense for them. But it's not the shared goal that does it. It's the idea of shared work. So, shared work, that's what creates this sense of irresistible, right? We know we're in this together. We know that success depends on our effective collaboration. So, how do we replicate that? How do we make that work in teams where it's not so crystal clear? This is the ongoing conversation we're having. We know that we want intentional collaboration. We know to get it, we have to make that collaboration irresistible. And we also know that shared goals are not enough. In the next episode, we'll toss in some more thoughts about what it takes to make it work. Thanks. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, or you can contact me through my website, lessonsfrommars.net. That's lessonsfrommars.net.